Hey everyone, and welcome back to all my App State juniors and seniors. I am absolutely thrilled to be guiding you through today's module of social media marketing. As your instructor and as a fellow marketing strategist, my goal today is to equip you with the absolute best tools so you're not just, participating in the digital conversation, but you're actually amplifying it. Today, we are diving deep into extending brand reach. And honestly, whether your dream is to work for a massive Fortune 500 company or you want to help scale up a local favorite right here in the high country, the strategies we're going to discuss today are totally fundamental to your success. So let's just jump right in. Here is our roadmap for today's masterclass. We'll kick things off with an introduction to social reach, explore the influencer marketing spectrum, talk about how to actually choose your brand partners, unpack the incredible power of user-generated content, navigate the very real challenges of content creation, and finally, wrap things up with some concrete strategies you can use in the future. All right, Section 1. Welcome to Social Reach, breaking through the digital noise. So, as a brand, there's obviously a ton you can do to push your message out into the social media universe. But the huge macro problem we face today as marketers is that organic reach, it is incredibly difficult to achieve. I mean, think about it. You've got ever-changing platform algorithms, really strict data protection regulations, and the fact that over a third of all internet users are now using ad blockers. Getting your brand heard just entirely on its own is a massive uphill battle. To really amp up your overall reach, you have to get your message into the hands of other people. And that brings us to a frankly wild statistic from Edelman. 63% of consumers trust an influencer's opinion of a product much more than what a brand says about itself. Just let that sink in for a second. Well over half of your audience inherently doubts your shiny corporate messaging, but they will gladly listen to a trusted third party. In fact, nearly 60% of people have bought a totally new product in just the past 6 months simply because an influencer recommended it. The takeaway here? If we want our target audience to actually listen, we have to borrow the trust that influencers have already spent years building. Moving right along to Section 2, the influencer marketing spectrum, from global icons to local legends. Whenever we drop the word influencer, I know a lot of people instantly picture these mega celebrities with millions and millions of followers. But the reality for digital strategists on the ground is a much wider, way more diverse spectrum of creators. And there's one golden rule to always keep in mind. Working with an influencer has to be a mutually beneficial relationship. Now, campaigns can scale dramatically based on your budget. At the absolute top, sure, you have celebrity influencers, your Cristiano Ronaldos. These require intense talent agencies and massive, massive budgets. Next tier down, you have industry influencers. Think of someone like the Points Guy for travel. They have huge authority in a very specific niche. But here is where it gets exciting for you. For a lot of your upcoming projects and early career campaigns, you'll be looking heavily at micro and local influencers. Think about an App State campus food reviewer blowing up on TikTok, or maybe a really well-known Boone restaurateur. These are everyday people or local figures with incredibly passionate, highly targeted audiences, and they are super accessible for smaller brands. Now, of course, working with these creators is rarely free, but how you compensate them is just as varied as the influencers themselves. You might pay a massive upfront flat fee for a top-tier creator, or maybe you use a commission model where they get a cut every single time someone uses their specific promo code. But for those micro-influencers we just talked about, things like gift cards or exclusive event invitations can be highly effective. Imagine you're running a social campaign for Stickboy Bread Co. right here in Boone. You could totally successfully partner with a handful of Appalachian State micro-influencers by just offering them a monthly gift card. In exchange, they post a few Instagram reels showing off their favorite morning bagel and coffee routine. It is cost-effective, it's hyper-local, and honestly, it works. Okay, Section 3, choosing your brand partners, the framework for influencer selection. So now you know the types of influencers, and you know how to pay them. But how do you actively pick the right person for your specific campaign? Well, you absolutely cannot just pick someone because they have a high follower count. That's a rookie mistake. Instead, to evaluate potential partners, we use what's called Maverick's 3 R's of influence. First is reach, which is simply their ability to deliver content to a target audience, basically the sheer volume of eyeballs on their posts. Then comes relevance. This measures how strong their actual connection is to your brand or topic. I mean, a popular tech reviewer is not highly relevant for a boutique fashion campaign, no matter how big their reach is, right? And finally, resonance. This is their ability to actually drive a desired behavior, like getting their followers to click a link, leave a comment, or make a purchase. The absolute crucial point here for you as a strategist is balancing these 3 elements. Every influencer has some mix of these factors, and you've got to weigh them against what your specific campaign is actually trying to achieve. And once you actually find that perfect fit, you have to employ what I like to call the strategist's secret. Samara Dahir from Refinery 29 really hit the nail on the head here. She said, once you find the right influencer, really trust them because they probably are more familiar with the audience you're trying to attract than you are. They built their audience by doing something right. If you hand them a super rigid corporate script and force them to read it word for word, it's going to sound incredibly fake and their audience will see right through it instantly. You have to give them creative license and genuinely trust their expertise. All right, let's pivot a bit to Section 4, the power of UGC, letting your customers do the talking. Influencers are amazing, obviously, but what if you could tap into your actual everyday customer base and get them to create your content for you? This is the second major pillar of extending your social reach. Let's explicitly define a couple of academic terms here so you have them for your notes. Earned media is the exposure you've gained organically through word of mouth rather than paying for advertising. And the absolute pinnacle of earned media is user-generated content, or UGC. This is authentic content. We're talking Instagram photos, Yelp reviews, TikTok unboxings that is created by your fans and customers entirely for free. This is a complete game changer because it takes the spotlight off your brand's kind of stiff corporate voice and shines it directly on real users. That makes the content inherently peer-reviewed and deeply, deeply trustworthy. To put that into perspective, just look at the actual impact. 76% of consumers say that content from past buyers heavily influences their purchase decisions. Think about it. If a prospective high school student is looking at coming to App State, they are going to trust a messy, authentic, day-in-the-life vlog from a current junior way more than a highly polished, perfectly lit brochure from the admissions office. Past users hold immense sway over future users. And we see massive enterprise brands successfully leveraging this all the time. Years ago, Burberry invited their customers to literally just showcase their iconic trench coats, and it flooded social media with real-world luxury. Or think about Wayfair. They use the hashtag Wayfair at home to let customers show off their interior design skills. They basically trick their audience into creating a massive, completely free catalog of beautifully styled furniture. Even big B2B companies do this. HubSpot uses the hashtag HubSpotLife to source photos from their employees all over the globe, which organically promotes their company culture and massively helps with recruiting. They are brilliantly letting their communities do the authentic marketing for them. But of course, we need to be real about this. Let's look at Section 5, Navigating Content Creation Challenges, the Realities of Open Platforms. Because look, it's not all just sunshine and viral hashtags, right? As strategists, we have to look at these open platforms objectively. We have to weigh the incredible benefits against some very real, very scary risks. On the one hand, yes, UGC builds incredibly authentic communities. It boosts your search engine visibility, and it creates a competitive advantage that is practically impossible for your rivals to copy. But on the flip side, you are entirely surrendering your brand control. Since the content is coming directly from the public, you are suddenly wide open to internet trolls, really nasty negative comments, wildly off-brand messaging, and some highly complex legal compliance issues about who actually owns that photo or video. So how do we play defense? How do we protect our brands while still reaping all those sweet rewards? Well, first, you really need to employ a dedicated community moderator, someone who can curate the amazing content and quickly de-escalate the negative stuff. If things do get out of hand on channels you don't own, you have to bring in your PR team immediately for crisis management. On the legal side, you absolutely must remember this rule. If you didn't create the photo, you do not own the photo. Always, always secure explicit user consent before you reuse their content, and make sure you provide clear credit to the original creator. And finally, you have to make sure you are strictly adhering to FTC guidelines regarding sponsorships and giveaways. If you don't, you're looking at hefty fines. Transparency isn't just nice to have, it's non-negotiable. Let's bring it all home with Section 6, Strategies for Future Marketers, Executing Your Campaigns. Okay, let's zoom back out. How can you take everything we've just talked about and actually apply it to your final project for this class, or even your very first postgrad job? Here is a highly tactical 3-step approach you can use. Step 1, perform social listening. Don't just aggressively push content out there. Take a step back and see what your audience actually cares about right now. Step 2, create and heavily promote a branded hashtag that is actually easy to remember. Step 3, incentivize participation. Run contests or just randomly reward followers who post great content. Starbucks famously did this with their white cup contest, where customers literally just submitted doodles on their coffee cups. Imagine doing that locally. You could totally design a campaign for Appalachia Cookie Co., asking App State students to submit photos of where on campus they love enjoying their cookies, and maybe the winner gets free cookies for a whole semester. Yes, it takes a bit of planning, but the organic reach that generates, it's phenomenal. So, as we wrap up today's masterclass, I want to leave you all with a challenge to think about. How will you leverage the power of others to amplify your brand's voice in your final project and beyond? Whether you find yourself partnering with a super influential local high country band or you're sourcing incredibly beautiful photos from your brand's most loyal customers, remembering that marketing is a community effort is exactly what will set you apart as a top-tier strategist. Thank you so much for joining me today, App State. Keep brainstorming, keep strategizing, and I seriously cannot wait to see the incredible campaigns you all build.